All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Health Accelerator Challenges. This is one of your hosts tonight, Cade Archibald, and I'm joined with the phenomenal Andie Bryce.
Woohoo, that's nice to hear. Keep the dream alive.
As well as the creator and founder himself, Regan Archibald. Regan, how you doing?
Doing awesome. Good to be here with everybody.
Great. Yeah, really excited to jump in today. I've missed the I haven't been here live the last few hacks, so I'm excited to be able to be on. I know last week we talked a lot about sleep, getting your full 8 hours. I think epitalin was the main peptide we discussed. Is that right?
That's it. Yeah, epitalin is a powerhouse, and then we talked about it in the podcast the next day too. So if you missed it, go back, and it's in. Go to iTunes right now, subscribe to our Never Stop Healing podcast, and jump on there, and you'll find just a whole host of opportunities and great learning experiences. But we took a deep dive into epitalin, and so epitalin, it resets the HPA axis. The other thing epitalin does is it reduces the risk of cardiovascular disease. One second, Cade, then and then the other thing that it does is it also helps with longevity. So it lengthens the telomeres, and it's actually one of the peptides that we have the most positive feedback with. So for those of you who've done epitalin, we want to hear from you, and I'm going to enable the chat here. So there you go, Cade. That should help. But how many of you have taken epitalin? And if so, plug in what your experience has been with it. And then we had a challenge for everybody, which was, you remember the challenge, Andie?
Oh, it was getting to bed at 9:30, getting your full, your full 8 hours to 9 hours sleep. What was the other part of it? Was there another part to it?
That was it. No, just.
Oh, okay. I'm like, gosh, it's a pop quiz, and I don't know the full answer.
No. That was it. You pass it with flying colors.
I know how you feel, Andie.
I try not to put you guys on the spot, but sorry.
Sometimes it always feels like a pop quiz, and you're like, is it this direction or that direction?
Yeah, and I'm trying to throw you guys softball pitches. So
yeah, and you're Mr. Broad, my fifth form geography teacher.
I know, exactly. Everyone gets all nervous. What if I said wrong? What if I said go to bed at 10 and wake up at 6? That could be devastating.
That could ruin someone's life.
I'm closing my laptop and going home at that point.
I bet no, Andie. It's 9:30. Yeah. Well, good. Well, how many of you got to bed? Because we're playing a little parenting last week, and then the week before that, we had our big challenge, which is get your muscles in hypertrophy. So do something that burns your muscles, where you are doing either a push-up or a squat till failure. Mine was air squats, and it was phenomenal. Today, we're going to talk about some very interesting things too. But before we jump in, I'm coming off my lifetime extender group. So I'm in this mastermind with Dan Sullivan and about 100 other, actually close to 200 people. And what we talked about today are some very interesting concepts when it comes to longevity. And I don't think anybody does it as well as Dan Sullivan when it just comes to creating context around just life. I mean, he's really interesting, but I'm going to give you guys a sneak peek. But, one of the things that he looked at is if you think about all of the improvements that you want to make when it comes to your health, he said to think of three big areas where you're looking to make a big jump. And how many of you can think of 3 areas in your life right now that you want to make a big jump in when it comes to your health goals? And I think all of us could probably say, I want to, maybe this is the year I'm going to get fitter than I've ever been. This is the year that I'm going to get to bed on time, which, wink, wink, that's your hint. Please get to bed on time. That's where it all starts. Maybe it's, maybe it's something more dramatic. Maybe you want to have more time outside, but as I was going through this today, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I actually had the most productive time mapping out what I want my next year to look like. And then Dan Sullivan asked me to put together my top 10 health habits. And then we're going to do a podcast on that next month. And so I'm going to share the podcast tomorrow will be on these 10 things. So this is a little bit of a cliffhanger for you guys.
A wee teaser.
A big teaser.
It's like, who killed JR? Am I the old person suddenly? Come on, you're American.
Well,
on the TV series Dallas, it was the big cliffhanger.
Oh, yeah.
Who killed JR?
Yes. Okay, yes, I do remember that. Briefly, it's kind of a boring show, but Tanya gets it. Hey, Tanya,
good. There we go. Thank you, Tanya.
Yeah, and we have so many cool people on today. Just we give some quick shout outs. Tony, Allison, Chris, Charlotte, Linda, Mary, Diane, Cheryl, Georgia, Elaine. I mean, what an amazing group of people. Thanks for being on here. Who shot JR? Looks like Mary knows what it is. Good to have you on, Mary. So Dean, Georgia, like Cheryl. I mean, we have so many people. It's awesome. But so do you guys want to hear my 3 things? It was kind of a surprise to me, when things like you realize what are the 3 things I'm like really excited about. And he had us focus on our 3 strengths. And one of my biggest superpower for staying healthy is my wife. And so I realized and Cade sees her all the time, like she's nonstop, like it's super helpful. We have a commitment in our marriage that our health has always got to be the number 1 priority. It's a deal breaker. It's a non-negotiable in our marriage. And so that I realized was a big capability, but and then my second thing is East-West. East-West, you all are a massive inspiration to me, and you guys keep me diving in and inspired to bring the most value to you, but also bring things that are very practical and useful. So I really appreciate everyone on this, and including you, Andie and Cade. It's just amazing. And so the East-West gives me a massive purpose. And then the third thing was my recreation time. I love being outside. I love mountain biking, my snowboarding and skiing. I've never had a better mountain biking season in my life. And I've also never had a better ski and snowboard season. So these are all some great things that we've done. Oh, there's my better camera. So my 3 things that I want to do more of is I want to start having more time outside. So I'm gonna hold once a month play days, and so expect an invite if you're in the hack. Sorry, I was just outside running. Speaking of being outside, and then what that will do is have recreation time, but it will also be more time that Jess and I can spend together, and then add more purpose to our community. So you'll be seeing some very cool things coming up in the future, but I won't take any more time on that, but those are my 3. But what were your 3? And it looks like we had some comments come in. Joan, well done. Drop some pounds, cut sugar, and then up with exercise. Beautiful. Awesome. Who else has some 3 top things? So mine are, I'm going to spend more time doing adventurous activities with my wife, more time doing adventurous activities as a group, and then more time focused on getting my body regenerated every 90 days. So every time I run my labs, I'm going to do some stem cells and keep my peptides going. So those are my 3 upgrades for the year. Andie, do you have any, or Cade?
Well, I was thinking while you were saying that, and for me, I ran into a fabulous patient in the hallway today, and we were talking about epithelum. And I said, because one of my personal goals around my role is to learn more about the peptides.
Right.
And I said, the more I learn about it, I really want to try epithelum as a peptide. But a goal around me even speaking about, taking on a new peptide is to have a more holistic approach and not an ad hoc, which is what I have tended to do. I'm sorry, I throw myself on the mercy of the court, being you, Regan.
Twice.
You shall be punished.
The third one.
So I would like to have a more deliberate, treat myself as one of our clients, one of our patients around my approach to peptides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And start with the blood work properly and, not working off old labs, which is what I've done. So, which are over a year old. So I would like to, look at it from the baseline, start again.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
Well, and we can easily, like, I put a program design together for me, for my wife, my kids, they have all their supplements now. So it's, the person with the most intentionality wins. And disease doesn't take vacation, it doesn't sleep. And so we all have to have really high intentionality if we want to make big improvements. So I think it's great. So Allison is increased muscle mass. Nice, Allison. Completely rewire my brain. Spend more one-on-one time with my kids and grandkids. Allison, we'd love your brain. So in that complete remodel, make sure you stay Allison. So, but I love those. Beautiful. Kate, did you have any that you came up with?
Yeah, so mine kind of individually trim up, get some abs, just better workouts. So enhancing that, I'm going to be working with Tristan on that. Talked to him last night. I actually got some good stuff going.
Nice.
And then just better consistency with my peptides and my food. And then my third one is like activities with the kids, whether that's my big goal this summer is to get Abby tried surfing this last summer, that like getting Jace and Abby to surf and do some cool outdoor sports. That's
so where are you surfing in St. George?
The lake.
It's behind his boat, Andy.
It's boat surfing.
Oh, you see, I lived at Narrabeen Beach, and please look it up. Spectacular. Narrabeen, Narrabeen Beach for many years, and it is one of the best surf breaks on the northern beaches in Sydney. So,
yeah,
what are you doing in St. George, dude?
Yeah, you're like, when do you even surf, right, Cade? Like, how do you surf? How are you going to get your kids to surf? Yeah, so it's just like boating activities. So we're getting prepped for that, and we got a ski trip planned here soon, so get them on the slopes as well. So those are some of mine.
Love it. All right, well, today we're going to have some interesting things on a singular way that everybody can maximize your intentionality around this year. So first of all, we talked about resetting the HPA axis, and we talked about the concept that stress is usually caused by nothing external to us. There's nothing external in the circumstances unless you're about ready to get hit by a bus and you have to get out of the way. But typically the stress is internal. So just remember that, because if you can frame it, no matter what comes up, the more relaxed you can stay when the triggers come, the better the epitalon works, the better your adrenal glands will be, the healthier hormones will be. And then you're going to be limited by the degree that you blame others for your problems. And so with health, it's so critical. If you've got a spouse who's not on board and you're doing it all on your own, we completely empathize. And I've seen so many of you just rise up and take leadership over your health, no matter what's around you. And we have some crazy cases where some of our members have actually had to move out temporarily just so they can get healthy. And so sometimes it's pretty dramatic, but if you just, remind yourself that we limit our ability to get healthy based on the amount that we blame circumstances on others. So
and also, Regan, on the spouse front, quite often it's interesting that the spouse can follow when they might be like, what are you doing? What exactly is this? There can be some skepticism, and they see results. And then the spouse is like, oh, I'm in on this. You're not looking this fantastic and having these energy levels without me, So.
And that's the best. Yeah, that happens
It's really
way
cool.
more often than not. Yeah. And so keep pushing, because your significant others, your kids, your grandkids, all those people you inspire are going to come along, and they'll actually be looking at you, and this beautiful, powerful word called envy will kick in, like Andie was saying. And there's really nothing that motivates a human more than envy. So,
and the great part about that, when the other people are envious, you get to feel something which is even better. You get to feel smug.
Another motivator.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, good. Well, here's how you can create even more envy is we're going to go back. We talked about hypertrophy and building muscle, because, on this reset series that we're going through, building muscle is one of the essentials that needs to happen for your health goals and longevity pursuits. And so we're going to continue on this thread, because if you remember from our previous conversations, one of the reasons why we need you sleeping is because it does allow you to recover and repair. And so your muscle is, not only is it the largest organ in your body, but it's actually, the first organ to become dehydrated. And so one of the things that's really helpful, if you look at your 6 essentials, go to bed at 9:30, wake up at 5:30. But then hydration is such a key component, because if you think about hydration, it provides lubrication. And if you think about your discs in your back, they're kind of like jelly-filled donuts. And then we all have this thing called gravity that's compressing and pushing against our discs, and those discs become dehydrated. So by the end of the day, you're actually shorter than you were when you woke up in the morning. And so it's the hydration that keeps things really lubricated, not only in your discs in your back, but your knees have these fluid sacs that need to be filled up called bursa. And you've got bursa sacs in all the joints in your body, and they're primarily hyaluronic acid, but they need fluid to stay hydrated. Your blood is 95% water, your brain's 85% water, your kidneys are 75%, your eyes are 95%, your liver is 86%, your lungs are 83%, and your heart 79%. So when you have hydration, you'll have better temperature regulation, you'll convert food into energy easier, you'll have better digestion, and you'll have great skin. So what's there not to like about being hydrated, except you may urinate? If you overhydrate, you may urinate too much.
Hey, everyone kicks a goal when you're well hydrated.
Yeah, everyone kicks a goal. Yeah. The World Cup is won by hydration.
As long as you're talking rugby and not soccer.
We'll go rugby. Yes.
Thank you. Yay.
Yes. Actually, I really enjoy watching rugby a lot more than soccer. I think it's
a great game.
Football. Yeah, it's awesome. So hydration. So what are some keys? What are the big barriers that you guys have? And you can plug it in the chat box, but what limits your ability to consume water and to stay hydrated? And
I would say a lot of times it's like planning and just having your go-to hydration device or mug or whatever you want to call it. But that's like when I go up to Salt Lake and I don't bring my handy dandy Stanley cup, I don't drink enough water. Like this is how I make sure I get my water, because if I don't have that, I'm using those little teeny cups, and I'll drink a cup every once in a while, but I have it like on my desk by me. I make sure that I'm consuming, and it's easy to measure. That's at least my hack for it, is So you have a certain size and you know how many of those you got to drink in a day.
Yeah. And people, someone just put in that Elaine said, I forget. People slip into some bad habits around hygiene, and it's just not something a lot of people focus on or think of as a primary thing. We wake up dehydrated.
Yeah.
I'm quite often telling clients, but a lot of people are on supplements and they're drinking water first thing in the morning, but have a big drink of water before you even do anything in the morning. We breathe through our mouths. We lose hydration during our sleep for many reasons, but we wake up dehydrated. If you're thirsty, you're dehydrated already. It's never too late to hydrate, but it's kind of like you miss the boat of having your body at that point of equilibrium.
Man. Yeah, well said. And the muscles, one of the big things you'll notice is people who have really tight muscles, very first thing you want to do is hydrate and get the right electrolytes in your body. And so, and Chris, I like what you said. It's the same. Elaine, you forget. Chris says, yeah, having it out of sight, out of mind. I'm always packing this guy around with me. It's like my little baby. I feel weird if I don't have it. And so I think it's really important. Allison, I love that. Allison, just to Andie's point here, drink water first thing. She likes to drink a quart of water before breakfast. I think that's amazing. And so this is great. Tanya, nice to have you comment here. New to water in this amount. I feel really bloated, but on the upside, a lot less hungry during the day. So yes, it is. It takes a little bit of conditioning to the body to consume half your body weight in ounces. Tanya, and so maybe drink smaller amounts as you go, and that might help with some of that bloating. But it is nice because sometimes our hunger and that ghrelin response from our brain is telling us we're thirsty and not hungry. And so the very first thing, if you're hungry, well, drink some fluids. So yeah, appreciate that comment, Tanya. Diane, isn't coffee a dehydrator? I drink too much coffee. I can't think of anything negative about coffee, so I'm not even going to go there, Diane.
You could never drink enough coffee.
Coffee is a diuretic.
It's a big time diuretic, yes.
Yeah.
And
also around, thinking we're hungry and we're actually thirsty, getting those messages confused. A headache, have a glass of water.
Yeah.
Constipated, have 2 glasses of water. My children grew up, and whenever they came to me, oh, Mom, I've got a headache, have a glass of water. And they would just start saying, don't ask her, she'll tell you to have a glass of water no matter what it is,
Right.
And, it's interesting now here in the US having stepchildren, and it's like, have a glass of water, have a glass of water, come back to me in 20 minutes. Oh, you still got a headache? Have another glass of water. I start listening at like the point of 60 minutes or so,
Yeah,
because
I love
otherwise
that.
it's dehydration. And, it doesn't mean you need ibuprofen because you've got a headache.
Yeah, there's a thought.
yeah, that's a crazy thought.
Instead of killing your kidneys in the lining of your tongue, just drink a little water. It might be good, for thinking about the next decade being your best decade. Yeah, you're going to need some fluid to get you there. And Diane, just if you think of coffee, for the amount of coffee you drink, you want to replace that with extra fluids. And so if you're drinking too much coffee, there's some things you can do to start mitigating this. One of those is take L-theanine with your coffee, and you may be doing this already, making sure that you're having some fat with your coffee too. And coffee has a long half-life, so it's in your system for about 14 hours. So what I do is I'll count backwards. I'll say, okay, what time am I going to bed? And, we're usually in bed by 9 and asleep by 9:30, something like that. And so, so that means I've got to stop drinking coffee pretty darn early. So I try to drink it at 7 o'clock in the morning is when I've been drinking my coffee. And then some days, maybe 2 days out of the week, I'll have another cup around 9 or 10, and then it's gone. And I found that my sleep has been much better that way. Using ARA 290 and Peptide has also been a nice sleep hack that I've enjoyed. So, so with coffee, if you do need to chill out on it, because we don't want you consuming more than about 200 milligrams of caffeine a day. That otherwise you start to burn out your adrenals. Then L-theanine can be a way that you can get over that pretty quick. And then, sniffing glue is what Cade uses to get over his coffee habits.
Nice,
I'm
Cade.
surprised how amazing you feel. Like it's just fantastic. But then when you quit the sniffing glue, that's when the problems really start.
Yeah. Okay.
I
So
just picked a bad week to stop sniffing glue. I'll just put it that way.
yes, you did. So in hydration, we'll stick to that vein before we jump into protein. That's going to be another whole nother slug of things, but there's some warnings. There's some things where you can overdo it with hydration. And I see this frequently. I've had patients over the years who brought in their gallon of water everywhere they're going. And I would encourage everybody to not be super dogmatic about it, because sometimes we can actually drink more water than our bodies can handle. And so there's some symptoms and there's some side effects to that. And one of those is you can lose electrolytes and actually cause a disturbance in your blood, and it can actually cause arrhythmias in your heart. So if you're noticing you're getting like some heart palpitations and you do that frequently, then this is where you want to look at your water consumption and say, well, am I replacing the minerals in my water? Am I eating enough? And especially if you're fasting, hydration becomes really critical. But fasting can dysregulate your electrolyte balance, which is why one of the gifts we give everyone who signs up for our Accelerate Wellness program, you get that nice little bottle of pickleball juice, our favorite electrolyte cocktail. But overconsumption of water, what happens is you have these filtration systems in your kidneys called your GFR. And then your kidneys, when the electrolytes are properly distributed, that keeps the pH levels where they need to be in your blood so that you're moving electrolytes into the cell. But if that balance gets too high, if you have too much hydration in your blood, then you can't move the electrolytes into your cells. And so this is when it's really important to eat something if you're feeling dehydrated. So Andie, if the water doesn't do it for the headache, then say, okay, well, you need to eat a little bit of food with that. Grab an apple, and that can really go a long ways. All right.
Tanya's asking about the pickleball juice.
Yes.
So how much of that should I take per day? And if any of you out there are wondering what pickleball juice is, the only way to get it is if you're in our Accelerate Wellness program. It's exclusive. No, it's really not. You can find it anywhere, but we love to give it as gifts because it's just amazing stuff.
And
so
it's great because it's sugar-free as well. So
yeah, it's really tough to find electrolytes without a little bit of sugar. And so if you're someone that's like, looking for some electrolytes that taste pretty good, pickleball juice is an awesome one, but always look at the label and make sure it doesn't have any sugars in it. Because man, my wife came home, Sierra came home with a bag of the liquid IVs. Have you guys seen those?
Yeah.
They're like 11 to 15 grams of sugar in every one of those packets.
Yeah.
And it's like, but they're deceiving. It makes it look like it's super healthy, clean. You flip it around, everything kind of looks good. But if you don't look at the actual label, you'll see a ton of sugar. Anyways, Andie, you were going to say something on pickleball juice. No, you weren't.
So I was going to say something.
It was Regan. Sorry.
Yeah. So because Tanya asked how much to take, and so really it depends on how much you're exercising. So if you're following our 30-30 process, 30 minutes in the morning doing weights, something high intensity, 30 minutes in the evening, going on a walk or, riding a bike, whatever you love to do. Enjoyable activities are our favorite, but then you want to do 3 scoops. And so 2 to 3 scoops a day is actually really good to keep things regulated in your body. You'll feel more satiated. You won't urinate as much. And then a real key is making sure you stop drinking 2 hours before you go to bed. And this is where, some of the supplements, especially with cell cores, like take right before bed. If you wake up at night to urinate, then just take your supplements earlier. You'll be fine. Oh, and Linda, hey, Linda, I love Relight from Redmond Salt. It's actually pickleball juice and Relight. So pickleball juice has the Redmond salt in it. And so it's basically the same formula, it's just packaged different. And one thing we forgot to mention is everybody needs to start playing pickleball this year. And so it's a sport that I'm going to try this year. That's one of my fun, enjoyable activities that I'm going to.
It is so much fun.
Is it really? Do you
It
play
is a lot of fun. We played it in New Zealand at what we called playtime. We didn't call it recess. We called it playtime.
Okay.
And it was paddle tennis, and it is so much fun. And Mike and I got a set last summer, but our local courts were always booked out. We had a couple of rounds of trying to learn the rules or what have you. It is incredible fun, and it's really social. So it's a good thing from every perspective, Yeah,
it's huge here in St. George, like nonstop, because we can play almost year round. And yeah, except like the heat of the summer, that's usually when it stops. Right now it's like full speed ahead. Pickleball is on fire.
Man. And Mary said she tried it last summer. It's really fun. So I got to try it. I've been just stocking my body up with the pickleball juice with the hopes that I'm just going to step on the court and dominate. Like
are you going to be
yeah,
are you going to be like Rafa and still be winning tournaments and
yeah, I'll be I'm really excited to try it out. It looks like a fun sport. So some of the things for hydration, how do you know if you're hydrated? Well, one of the things you can do is grab your hand and pinch your skin. And so pinch that skin, and if it drops, see how mine dropped pretty darn fast. It's a good sign of hydration. You can see if your skin, the tautness of your skin shows, are you getting fluids where it needs to go? If your skin tends to be a little more clumpy, if you have edema, there's a good chance that you're not getting the fluids where it needs to go, and there's some circulatory issues and issues with the kidneys. So that's one simple way. Some of the symptoms you can look at if you're feeling overhydrated is you'll be urinating a lot, but you'll also feel headaches. So it's funny, just like, low testosterone and high testosterone, you're going to have the same symptoms, or low progesterone, high progesterone, a lot of the same symptoms. High serotonin, low serotonin, you get, very similar symptoms, but it's the same with hydration. So headaches are the number one cause of, that's number one cause of dehydration is our headaches. But the other one is overhydration. Frequent urination, even if you are noticing that your urine is light colored, if it's just yellow, it's too much. And that's a big problem. So look at the color of your urine. It should have let me actually find a graph here for you guys, but it should have a nice little yellow hue to it. And by the way, if we've given you methylene blue, your pee will be blue and it will stain your toilet. So make sure you flush. But yeah, methylene blue can change it. But let me I'll grab a urine chart for you. But the nice thing that you'll find with hydration is mental acuity. And so there's a research that was done where they took college students and they had them take a quiz, fully hydrated. And then they took another quiz where they weren't hydrated and they were dehydrated by just 5%. And what they found is these college students who are dehydrated by only 5% actually scored 20% worse on the test. So hydration, remember, our brain is 85% water, and so it needs a lot of fluid just to move that energy around. So that's a nice little motivator. Okay, here's something I found just on a quick search. So clear, if your urine looks like that box there and it's just yellow, then probably not the best. If it's got a little pale or transparent color, that's kind of the sweet spot. If you're taking certain B vitamins, even chromium picolinate, you may have a little bit of fluorescent color in your urine. And so that's one of the signs that B vitamins aren't being absorbed. The other interesting thing, speaking of supplements, is you guys know the Centrium supplement brand from Costco, where you get those multivitamins, Centrium. Has anyone heard of that one?
Yeah, I've seen those, like the multivitamins typically. Yeah,
and multivitamins, unfortunately, speaking of urine, what they did is there's a water filtration plant, and they actually have to filter out all the the toxins, and they're reusing the water. But in the water plant, they noticed that after it went through all of the filtration systems, they were noticing pills were still showing up, and they had to filter the pills out. And the majority of those pills were supplements, typically multivitamins, and they could actually read the name of the supplement. And usually it was coming from the Centrum. And so a lot of supplements have really garbage fillers in them, and that can change some of the color of your urine. So be careful what you take. We vet out all the supplements. You're getting really good things that actually get to where they need to go. And this, one of the reasons we love peptides, is because they'll activate things where they need to be activated. So if your urine's dark, that's a problem. You're not drinking enough water. If it's orange, it can be from certain vitamins or dehydration, medication. If it's dark brown, that's a big problem, that you're not drinking enough water, and that your ALT and AST, your liver, could be breaking down. Dark brown is serious, so don't hesitate. And then if you see any redness in your urine, that's a sign of blood. And it can also be a sign of beets. So if you eat a lot of beets and you think you have a UTI, well, stop eating the beets and then see if your urine stays red. If it does stay red, then you probably do have a bit of an issue with a bladder infection. You need to get that handled really quickly. And then Joan says that turmeric colors the urine as well. Yes, it can make it a much brighter color with the curcumins in there. And then if it's blue or green, this can be from if you're eating foods with dye, or methylene blue, which is a great peptide, really good for the mitochondria. And then cloudy can be a sign of urinary tract infection. Milky, it can also be a sign of yeast overgrowth. So there you go. I know you guys wanted to just visualize urine today. That's what Andie requested, so I decided to go for it.
Yeah, next week it's poo.
Next week we can jump into that too. We will be talking about protein next week and how to digest it, and so that will be a critical component. So hopefully that was interesting, but I appreciate you guys, all the participation today. Number one thing, whenever you start nutrition, think hydration. And your muscles are the most needy group, most needy organ for hydration, as is your brain. So if you get brain fog, or you don't feel mentally sharp, and if you have tight muscles or any muscle cramping or a headache, think hydration right out of the gates. It's really a simple problem to fix. And if you stay hydrated, you're going to live much, much longer. So that's it. So the challenge for the day, for the week, is to get hydrated. Make sure you're using electrolytes at least twice a day. No sugar, because that's another part of our reset, is nothing with more than 1 gram of sugar. So that eliminates most of your over-the-counter electrolyte products. We like you using the salt made here in Utah because it doesn't have the nanoplastics in it. It's a much safer version of salt. So that's why we use the Redmonds. It's phenomenal. So get yourself hydrated this week, half your body weight in ounces. If you're exercising harder than that, you're going to need more. Diane, if you're drinking more coffee, you need to replace the coffee with water. So, you're going to have to add more in. And that will be a wrap for today. So Everyone clear?
Awesome. Get your water and your minerals in for the day. Perfect. I did want to make an announcement before we hop off. And that's we got a new office space that we're going to be moving into from Salt Lake. So right now we're in downtown Salt Lake. If you're used to coming to our Salt Lake facility and location, we are moving January 30th. So that'll be Monday, January 30th, not this Monday. I think it's the following Monday.
Yeah.
So pretty close, a week and a half out.
Yeah.
And so just want to make sure everyone knows we're right off at 215 off the Fort Union exit there. So you'll be seeing emails and everything about it, but really excited about the new space. It's going to be gorgeous and just some really cool activities to have in there. If you're one of our virtual patients, maybe you haven't been into our office before, definitely want to invite you to come out and check out the new place, the physical location. It's awesome.
Yeah. Come visit.
About that.
Yeah,
Yes.
come and visit.
And
It's even
How
better.
far east is Fort Union? It's right off of the 215. It's like right where I-15 and 215 merge. So literally right off that exit.
yeah, Allison, it's about 5 minutes closer to you than the Salt Lake Drive, the Salt Lake Clinic. So super simple to get to. Allison lives here in Midway. So, and then we have Mary. Mary was walking the dogs while listening. Awesome. And Mary's outside. That's great. We love that. Thank you for the Epitalin. Your sleep score is improving. Good. Epitalin is a awesome peptide. And then can't wait to try my pickleball. And then one thing that just a little peptide knowledge. We did our peptide masterclass last week. Love all of you who attended. That was so fun having you guys there with some of our Go Wellness doctors. And then the peptide that you can use if you're having a hard time staying hydrated is ARA 290. It works on the erythropoietin pathways. It helps activate red blood cells. Great for endurance, but holy smokes, it will get your body supercharged with hydration. So ARA 290 would just to give you guys a cool little peptide insight. Andie, that was for you.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thanks, you guys. We'll see you next week, and make sure you jump on the podcast tomorrow. Oh, and we got another good electrolyte mix. It's called from Mary, and Mary she knows her stuff. It's electrolyte myoscience, electrolyte sticks. Okay, I'll check it out.
Nice.
Thanks, Mary.
I'll have to check that out. Thanks, everybody. We'll be back same time, same place. And don't forget the podcast in the morning. See you, everybody.
Bye, guys. See you next week.
Bye-bye.